My name is Asia Sampson, and today on Baptism Overland, I'm going to show you how to overkill your camping setup. It is hot. 92 degrees, feels like 100, at least that's what it says on my app, and humidity is through the roof. But Central Florida, middle of summer, that's just how it is. My shirt is drenched, I am sweating, the humidity is killing me. We're doing what we can, but I'm suffering right now. All right, before any of you start firing away in the comments, let me tell you what this video is not. This video is not an overlanding video. Like, I'm not here to tell you that we are in some remote place living off the items that we brought with us and surviving primitively. No, that we're not. We are actually in the middle of Florida at Silver Springs, and we are camping at a very beautiful campsite with all the amenities. Like, the bathroom is right there, we have water, we have electricity. Hence the title, How to Overkill Your Camping Setup, because the gear we brought with us is overkill based on what we're doing this weekend. We were supposed to go overlanding this weekend. We were actually gonna go and do some trails and do some primitive stuff up in Oak Mountain, Alabama. But 2 days before we left, we got notification that Tropical Storm Claudette was going to go up the Gulf, pass through where we live, and then continue upwards to Birmingham, Alabama area where we were going to be. So we knew we couldn't go there anymore and we had to get out of our city. So we just started looking up places that we can go to that still had availability. I didn't have time anymore to do research on trails or where else we can go last minute. So we just found Silver Springs, saw that they had campsites available, and then got the heck out of Dodge, and here we are camping. This is overlanding, pretty much. This video is also not for beginner camp setups. All the things that I have here, you don't need to go camping. I mean, it's stuff that I've accumulated and things that I've done and built on my Jeep. You're probably not gonna have the funding or the means to want to do all of this immediately. I mean, if you do, awesome. But it took me a while to build up a lot of this gear. So if you're here to get basics, you're not gonna get basics here. I'm here to tell you what we have and how we've been using it for our camping and for when we actually do go overlanding. So let's just go take a look, and I'll walk you around the rig, walk you around our setup, and show you what I got. All right, starting with the major thing, we have the Free Spirit Recreation Odyssey tent, and I am loving this tent. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I just got this tent, and I honestly don't know what people are talking about when they say that rooftop tents are overrated, that you buy it and then a few weeks later you end up selling it anyway, because we have used this tent maybe every other week since I've gotten it, and it just has elevated our camping to the next level. It feels cool up there because it's higher up. Plus, it keeps us away from all the critters that are on the floor. Yesterday, we saw an armadillo and a bunny kind of just hop around, and who knows what else is out there, if there's any snakes and anything like that. And we really didn't want it coming that close to the tent. So being up there has just really changed it, and I know my family has enjoyed it. Now, Free Spirit Recreation does sell also a vinyl cover that you can put on the top, but because I do graphic design, I went ahead and designed my own. Only thing is, if you look, in the rush of me trying to do this, I accidentally misspelled my handle. It says Baptism Overland, and I am hating myself. So I'm gonna have to get this thing reprinted, and I'm probably gonna have it professionally installed next time, because I attempted to do it myself and it's messy. There's just a lot of mistakes that you probably can't tell here, but There are wrinkles everywhere, bubbles everywhere. It did not turn out good. So I'm gonna have this thing reprinted and have somebody else install it for me. FSR does also sell you crossbars if you wanted them, and I bought it and I'm glad I did because I actually put my front runner cargo boxes, my wolf packs, up there. So I like putting it there because it keeps it away from my cargo area and it gives me more space in the cargo hold for other stuff. So it fits really great up there, which is why you see those ratchet straps there. The way they set up is really easy because there's slots and you can just put ratchet straps through it, tighten everything down, and your cargo is nice and secure. Moving over to the awning, this is the Overland Pro 270-degree awning. Got it for 400 bucks. I did a video on that as well. Do I like the awning? Yes. Would I buy this again? Probably not. This thing is a pain in the butt to put up. I mean, you swing it out and then you have to put all the poles in. I think next time I get another one, I'm going to definitely get a freestanding awning so I don't have to worry about all these poles. I don't know what it is about their particular awning, but it sags like this really badly. Like every time I see other people's awnings, they're nice and straight and they're propped up and it just looks clean. This one just looks really messy. Like it's like just, it looks like it's bunched together, and then on top of that it's also leaning like this, and their logo is facing downwards. Overland Bound was the one that recommended this awning because they said it's 400 bucks and you get a 270-degree awning, but I don't necessarily know if that was worth it. And next time I may, if I could, possibly just upgrade this awning to a freestanding one and one that doesn't sag, because yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt, and it's really not the best system as far as like setup, because you have to put up each of these poles, then put the poles away, and more pain than it needs to be, and it takes way too long for setup. Back here is the trasheroo, and this is one of my favorite things that I've ever gotten for the Jeep. Like, it's weird because I use it for storage. I don't really use it for trash as much as I use it for storage. Down here, I'm able to keep all of my propane bottles that we need. I'll like have 2 in here and then a couple more inside the vehicle. Next to that, I have a mallet with a pull, and that's to basically put down stakes and remove stakes really easily. Great tool, by the way. It was maybe $10 on Amazon. It's a Coleman one, but I've used that a lot. So I just keep it out here, easy to access. And then on the other side, we put our bug sprays and also extra trash bags in here. So that is all fitted nicely in here. And then inside here, I store a bunch of stuff. So I have my hose for my water system that I use to wash dishes, but we didn't need to use that this week because, again, this is a place that has water already, so I didn't need to bust that out. And then I also have a Magpul DACA pouch here that I keep stakes and other stuff for the awning or anything we need to stake down. Stakes and even like a little brush to kind of like clean out the inside of the tent when we need it. So I have all that in here, easy to access. All right, inside the trasheroo, I have my grill, which we put over the fire, and I use that sometimes. Whenever we want to cook stuff, we just throw this on top of the fire and cook over that. And then I also have a GSR folding table. So I keep all of that in there. And what I love about the system is that when I get home, I just remove this from the tire, hang it up in my garage, and then I am ready to go again the next time around without having to repack all of this stuff. So trasheroo, we have a Titan fuel tank. There's not really a rig walk around, so there's no need for me to explain this because it's not really for camping, but it's here, and I put all my fuel, extra fuel and stuff like that in there if we decide to go longer and we have to be at a place where there might not be any fuel nearby. Coming over to the inside, right on my tailgate, I have my hatchets that we use to chop firewood, chop whatever we need. I have that, and I also have these magnetic lights, which we use these a lot. So if you're stranded on the road somewhere and you need lighting, or even around camp, when we first get to camp and it's dark, my wife will take some of these and just start placing them everywhere so she can see things while she's unpacking. They're great, super cheap. I think you get like each of these for like 10 bucks, but they're super bright as well. This one's dead already. Let's see. Whew, that was bright. And then I have my drawer system here. All my camping equipment is in my drawer system that you've seen me build. Inside I got all the stuff that we use for camping. I've got some towels here. They're packable towels, which is great. I have my Jackery 240 in there, which I will pull out later and put into the tent so we can charge devices. In the back I have some straps, and then I have an extra survival shovel if we needed it. I also keep 2 of our drink bottles in here. So this one is mine. I use this when we're drinking cocktails and whatnot, and this one's my wife's. So I keep that in there. We have a hammock, and then we have our gear. We have illumination in here, repellents in here, and fire starting stuff in there. So that has like fire cubes and lighters and ferro rods. All that stuff is in there. And then for repellents, we have, little tiny stuff to light, like citronella candles and whatnot, and sprays. And then in illumination is where I keep all of my little lights that we use for around camp, which I've already have out and set up. So that's empty right now. For prepping, this is what I use to prep. So whenever we get to camp and I need to set some stuff up, I can prep everything there. This is overkill for this setup because we obviously have a bench and picnic tables over there, so we don't really need to use this, but this is great for when I'm making drinks, coffee, or whatever. I can just do everything here. My wife's bag of choice is the Patagonia duffel. She uses that for her and my son's stuff. Everything just gets thrown in there. But for me, I use the Wandered Hexal duffel. I am in love with Wandered stuff. So I have their backpack. This is their duffel. Reason why I like this is because this allows me to carry all my media gear in here, personal items in here, and I don't have to open this whole thing to access it. I just open up here and I can grab my camera whenever I need it really quickly. And right now I'm charging all of my batteries for the camera. Speaking of which, that's just getting charged with a reel. I bring this around so whenever we go to places that has electrical, we have this, because that just runs directly to the power system over here. So what I do with this is when I get to camp, I unplug the fridge from the vehicle, and then I plug the fridge directly into one of these. And then this white extension cord is running up, and that goes into our tent, which has a fan on the other side because it's so hot right now that we need a fan. So this is just running all the way here. Everything is just stored here. Over here we have the Rotopax water can. This is great too because it allows me to store water and keep it out of the way for other gear. We used to use this humongous big Stanley jug thing, and it just took up so much room, and now it's just tucked up and out of the way. Garvin Expedition or Garvin Wilderness Products makes a mount that you put on the roll cage of the Jeep, and then it mounts this onto it, and then you put the Rotopax on top of that. But because I had to get the front runner roof rack, there was no way I could mount the Garvin roll mount to this anymore. Fortunately for us, I was able to just create a way to mount it directly to the mount for front runner. This is the mount for the roof rack right here, and I was able to just punch a couple of holes and then put the other part of that Garvin mount onto that. And so now I have a way to mount the Rotopax mount to that, and then now my Rotopax can just go right there. So easy solution without me having to waste a way to mount this. You got it. Boom. There you go. Thank you to one of you guys who watched my rooftop tent video install, because you guys said that it was the wrong ladder they sent me, and it absolutely was. Free Spirit Recreation sent me the wrong ladder because if you see, there's no way for this ladder to grip onto the tent. Fortunately for me, I'm able to sandwich it between the roof rack, the front runner roof rack, and the rooftop tent. So it kind of gets sandwiched in there. so it is somewhat secure. But I did reach out to Free Spirit Recreation, and they are sending me the proper ladder that goes with this tent. Inside the tent, I think I've done this already with you guys in the last video, so there's no need for me to show you what's in there. All right, inside the Jeep, there is my 40% delete where I put my fridge. There's a video that I did where I was able to do a 40% delete, take out one of the seats, the smaller one, and leave the bigger one intact. But this now allows me to keep my fridge in here, which is great because it gives us awesome access to everything. Even while we're driving the vehicle, someone can just reach back there and grab what they want, especially my son who sits next to it. If he gets thirsty or wants a snack, he can easily just reach over here and grab what he wants in there. So before, I had this fridge plugged up to right over there. I created a 12-volt socket right over here. It's probably hard to see because it's dark, but there's a 12-volt socket in here. However, my friend Chris said that the ARB plug, the one that comes out of the fridge for the ARB fridges, actually fits on the ice coat as well. And that plug, what's good about the plug that ARB has is that on the other end of that plug, you get this, where you can remove the cover, and this allows you to plug into this 12-volt socket that I put in there, which is also ARB. But once you plug this in, you can actually screw this in, and so that way this plug will never come out. If you're hitting the trails a lot and you have your fridge plugged into a 12-volt socket, you may have had issues where you hit a bump or something and that thing goes flying off. This allows you to push this down in there, tighten it, and now you have a very, very secure connection between the 12-volt socket and the fridge. I'll put links in the description below. If you have an IceCo like I do, it does fit. So all you need is the plug, the ARB plug that comes out of the fridge, and this is what's on the other end. And then you need to get the ARB 12-volt fridge socket. Over behind the driver's seat, I have a Molly panel backrest, which is awesome because I keep my first aid kit in there when we need it. I have an extra umbrella, and then I also have my camping knife that is there, and whenever I need to take that out and utilize a knife, I got one handy. And then at the top here, I just did a video on that recently. Up there is a Molly panel, which has the flashlight that I use. That's an Olight Warrior, the sand color. It's awesome, super bright. So I have that up there, as well as a pouch which has my handheld GMRS radio. So that's in there, and then I have another umbrella there so that I can access it when I need it. I also added some carabiners there. This used to hold a net over here, but I took the net out because it was just getting in the way. But I left the carabiners. So this is actually good when we need to hang, towels or jackets or whatever. We can just kind of hang it up there. So that's a good way to kind of store stuff when you're on the road. All right, moving on to camp setups. I have the Old Man Emu chairs, and oh man, I love these. I was debating between these and the Front Runner Director chairs. Front Runner is much, much smaller. These are a little bit bigger, but they pack away into a square and it's thin. So it doesn't take up as much room as those $12 ones that you get at Walmart, where it's just like this big bulky chair. These are great, and they're not as small as Front Runner, so it's a lot more comfortable. I have loved these. Plus, these chairs come with a side table, so when you unfold it, there's a side table that pops out, fits, and it's cool that they think about certain touches. You'll see that the holder has a little notch on there, because that way if you're putting a coffee cup, it just sits right in there nice and easily. And then on the other side of those chairs, they have this little pouch that it comes with. So this is a cooler. You can actually open this, put some drinks in there, or if you want to put your magazines or whatever, that has that. And then there's like 3 pockets at the top for you to just store gear. And then there's also a pouch here to store more gear. And if you wanted, you can actually remove this and then just take this with you wherever. So that's what I love about these chairs. I think it sold me versus the front runner because of all the things that it can do and the things that it has. It is just a pain in the butt to kind of fold up. You have to get used to it a little bit. For cooking, yesterday I went and bought a stove from Walmart. This is an Ozark Trail. Before, we just been cooking over the fire. Our old Coleman stove was in a flood from Hurricane Sally, so it got destroyed. But yesterday we decided, let's just grab a really cheap stove that we can use for now until we can get our So we needed some way to cook on this trip. We've just been, again, cooking over the fire. And what I really want to get a scuttle. But until that happens, we need a way to cook for now. And so I just went and picked this up. Nothing fancy about it, but at least it helps us cook our meals and keep things a little simple. I'm currently charging all my solar devices right now. This lantern is one of those that folds down really flat, and then you just inflate it with your mouth. And we use this as a lantern outside the tent. So I'm gonna hang this up at the opening of the tent. This allows you to kind of see the steps. This is the Goal Zero Nomad 5 solar panel. I use this to charge my power bank, and this is just for a quick, if I need to charge my phone really quick. And so since we had a lot of sun earlier today, I was able to take advantage and just get that kind of charged up. And then we also have the Goal Zero torch. This is super bright, and you can hang this anywhere, so it's also pretty cool. The torch is super bright once you turn it on, and it also has a flashlight on the other end. So I've been using this a ton. And then I have one of their crush lights. I use this in the middle of the table. This is also solar powered. Just pop it open. See, so it kind of just pops open. I don't know if I can do it with one hand, but there you go. So we use this in the middle of the table, and I just kind of plop it down like that. So this is my coffee setup. This is cool because I just bring this with me, and everything I need for coffee is in here. So in there, I use this kind of coffee maker. I love this kind of coffee maker. It makes really good, like Cuban coffee type of stuff. I have 2 Stanley mugs. One's my wife's, one's for me. And then I have a flask of Baileys, because I have to have my coffee Baileys in the morning when I go camping. So there's Baileys in there. And then I have just a pouch of coffee and a stirring spoon, and that is it. These gloves allow you to grab hot things and it won't burn you. Matter of fact, you can even sometimes grab firewood with this and it will not burn you. I wouldn't advise it, but you can. My wife hated the fact that I kept trying to touch things with my own hands, and it's like, man, get something to protect yourself. Super cheap. You can get these and they work really great. They're really for barbecuing, but I bring them camping because then I can grab whatever, even if it's hot, or cast iron skillets, that type of stuff. This is great for that. And then for Father's Day, my wife got me the Jetboil Sumo. I'm so happy about this. We went on this trip, and then my son and my wife surprised me with this. And so now we can boil water really quickly. You can make meals in here. And this is the humongous one. This is good because it will allow us to feed the whole family, make ramen on the fly. This is great. And that just plugs into a butane thing like that. I bought this at the expo. Someone was selling, they're for tools, but what's great is I just use this now for camping utensils. You just unroll it and everything you need is here. Knives and lighters. This one my wife got me as well, which I love. This is a rechargeable flame thing, but it's not flame. Anyway, I need to recharge this. It's actually rechargeable. So you can recharge this, and what happens is it creates this little taser-like flame. I guess you could tase somebody with this, but this is good for just lighting propane and things like that really, really quickly without you having to rely on a flame to do it. And then we have in here, I got this at the expo as well. This has been an awesome piece of gear because it's everything you need compacted. So this all comes apart and it becomes a spatula, or a fork spatula, or you put them together and they become tongs. But in the middle here, there is also a knife. I can probably remove all this stuff to show you, but it works like this here. This is the smaller version that we had from before. It basically just comes apart. This is easier to remove and take apart, but Alright, so I was in the middle of doing my video about my camping gear, and then suddenly the rain just started coming down, and everything just got wet. It's all like messed up, and yeah, I mean, that's Florida for you. 1 minute it's bright and sunny, and I'm doing a video, and before you know it, it's like a storm. So, lasted for about 20 minutes. Now everything's pretty much wet. Maybe it's not overkill after all to have our overlanding equipment, because now that our bench over there is pretty much unusable because it's wet and water's coming down from the trees, we are now resorting to what we would normally do if we were overlanding, which is use my drawer system, cook out of this. Also, you'd be glad to know that the rooftop tent did great. We closed up the sides, and because of how it extrudes in the front, rain did not get inside, so the rain fly on that tent protected it really well. There might be a lot of water up there though, but I'm gonna check that. But basically, we've lost our amenities somewhat. The electrical over there, I think it tripped because I think it got wet. So we are probably gonna have to go based off of battery power and everything now. So it's kind of a good thing that I had my overlanding gear with me, and maybe it's not overkill after all. So we're gonna finish cooking now, because before it gets dark we need to start cooking, get everything set up one last night, and I'll see if I can kind of do a little bit more about our gear tomorrow morning. So when I had the idea for this video, when we pulled into camp, I had one goal, and that was to try and prove that all this overlanding stuff is pretty overkill when you're staying at a place that has all the amenities. Like, do you really need all this stuff? And the short answer is no. If you just want to get out there, you want to start camping, you want to start overlanding, I mean, you can get the most basic gear. Go to your nearest, yeah, outdoor store or Walmart and grab just basic cheap gear, and you can get out there, because that's really the important thing, is just getting out there and enjoying it. All the stuff I have, it took me a couple of years and a lot of money to build up to what we have now with the tent, the awning, and all the gear that we have. It took a while, and you don't really need all of that. But I was trying to prove that it was overkill, that you really, really don't need it. And then in the middle of me doing the video, rain started coming down hard, and it stopped for a while, but it's sort of been relentless through the night, just little drops and then heavy and then little drops. It's kind of just been wet and raining now, and I think a lot of this is coming from the tropical storm that went through the Gulf, and now we're getting sort of the tiny outer bands of it. And we had to revert to all of our overlanding tactics. We've had to do everything as if we are in a place that's remote, because electricity hasn't been working. Uh, the bench and everything that we use for doing all the stuff is now wet. So I have been using the stuff that's on the Jeep, the awning, the tent, and the drawers. We've been basically here as if we are remote and primitive camping. So maybe it's not overkill. I mean, yeah, again, you don't need all this stuff, but it has made it easier, and we were able to adapt much faster when we had to. So, no, you don't need all this stuff, but I can also say that it's really not overkill. Like, I don't feel bad now pulling into a campsite with all this gear, and everyone else is just like, why is this guy acting like he's overlanding when he's not? You know, it makes sense to have all this stuff. And if you have it, if you have the means to get it, yeah, it's definitely worth it, because having this stuff and being prepared and being able to adapt and adjust depending on your weather, that's that's what makes marks you as someone who does think about these things and is ready for those kind of situations. So here we are, last day. We are going to pack everything back up now, try our best to dry everything, but I'm sure that that's not going to happen. I'll just wait till we get home and kind of clean everything out. It's going to be a lot more work when I get home, but that's what happens. Things get wet, things get cold, things get hot. Like, it's just, that's what I've been preparing for, and I'm glad I was able to really test out a lot of this gear in a somewhat extreme scenario. So if you found this video helpful, please make sure to like it, subscribe to our channel, and if it moves you, please support us on Patreon. We would love to get your support so we can continue to make videos like this. And as always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Baptism Overland. My name is Asia Sampson, and we will see you next time.